Hello, 7th graders. Today we're going to talk about completing tables. So it's important for us to remember that a solution to an equation with two variables is an ordered pair. The x value comes first and the y value always comes second. So when it's substituted into an equation, it makes a true statement. Example 1 asks us to create a table of x and y values for the equation y over 2 equals 3 halves x plus 2. We're going to use integers values for x from -1 to 1. So we have -1, 0, and 1. We're going to plug each of those x values into our equation and see what our y value equals. So for the first one, -1, we have y over 2 equals 3 over 2 times -1 plus 2. And we know that 3 halves times -1 gives us -3 halves plus 2 on our right. And on our left, we still have that y over 2. Well, we need to get common denominators between the 3 halves and the 2 before we can add them together. So we need to multiply the denominator by 2 to get y over 2 equals -3 halves plus 4 over 2. Well, -3 halves plus 4 halves is 1 half, and that equals y over 2. When we multiply by 2 to get y by itself, those 2's cancel, leaving us with just y equals 1. So that's when x is -1, y is 1. Now we have to do the same thing with 0. We plug in 0 for x this time. Y over 2 equals 3 halves times 0 plus 2. Well, you know 3 halves times 0 is just 0, plus 2 equals y over 2. Get rid of that 2 by multiplying it on both sides. And now we get y equals 4. So when x is 0, y is 4. Last one, we plug in 1. So we have y over 2 equals 3 halves times 1 plus 2. And we get y over 2 equals 3 halves times 1, which is just that 3 halves plus 2. Once again, we have to get that common denominator like we did over here. So we have y over 2 equals 3 halves plus 4 over 2. And then 3 halves plus 4 halves, we'll move it over here, is y over 2 equals 7 halves. Last step, multiply by 2 on both sides. Those 2's go away, and I get my y equals 7. So when x is 1, y is 7, and now I've completed my table. Final example, go ahead and pause the video, try to complete this table on your own when the equation is 8y equals 5 times x minus 4, and then come back and see how you did. So first things first, we're given that x is 2. So we need to find y when x is 2. We have 8 times y equals 5 times 2 minus 4. Order of operations, 2 minus 4 is -2 times 5 equals 8y. And 5 times -2 is -10 equals 8y. Last step, divide both sides by 8, and I get y equals -5/4. I can reduce that. So we can see when x is 2, y is -5/4. This time we're given y equals 0, and we need to find x. So now we're going to plug in 0 for y. 8 times 0 equals 5 times x minus 4. And 8 times 0 is, of course, 0 times 5x minus 4. We need to go ahead and distribute that 5 to both of the terms, where we get 0 equals 5x minus 20. Add 20 to both sides, and we get 20 equals 5x. Last step, divide both sides by 5, and we get x equals 4. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So when y is 0, x is 4. Last one, we'll do over here. We're given x is 6. So we have 8 times y equals 5 times 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 is 2 times 5, and that is equal to 8 times y, or 8y. And 5 times 2 is 10, which equals 8y. And the last step, divide both sides by 8, and we get y equals, let's simplify 10 eighths to 5 fourths. So when x is 6, y is 5